What's going on, guys? Spencer here with HM Massage, and today we're going to go over an advanced massage technique that's targeting the subscapularis. This is the deepest of all four of your rotator cuff muscles and is a prime culprit in not only general shoulder pain ranging from the back all the way to the front and pecs, but it also restricts your range of motion, especially when doing external rotation or reaching above your head. And it can send pain, numbness, and tingling down to the elbow, all the way down to the hands and fingertips. So subscap is responsible for a lot of issues, but it is a very hard muscle to get to, and you have to know what you're doing in order to be able to release the tension and release those trigger points correctly. So let's learn how to do that. So this entire time I've just been warming up his outermost layers of muscle. This is his pectoralis, his deltoids, his biceps, and then here we're going to keep warming up but also work a little bit into the lats all around the armpit. And working around the armpit is one of the big reasons this is an advanced technique, because the armpit is an endangerment area, meaning there's not a lot of muscle that's protecting vital nerves, arteries, and lymph nodes. And you'll see in a bit that we're actually taking our hand and working very deep into the armpit in order to get on the front side of the scapula, or the shoulder blade. But because we're working next to a lot of very sensitive areas, any wrong move or any wrong hold on the wrong body part can do a lot of damage. So you have to be careful and you have to know your anatomy when performing these type of techniques. But now that we've warmed up a couple of minutes, we can really start getting in there. So I'm using my fingertips and more my knuckles, and I'm just tracing out his latissimus that runs all the way up to the glenohumeral joint. Look that I'm going very slow and applying a good amount of broad pressure. And in this case, I happen to be stripping down to also hit his serratus anterior muscles, which lie on the ribs. I haven't gone too deep yet, we're still pretty much on only the lats, and I am moving his arm upward slightly in order to get a pin and stretch on those lats. There you can see my fingertips sink in a little deeper, and now we've approached the subscapularis. You'll feel a bony landmark right at the edge of the lats, and that is the edge of the shoulder blade. So you need to go up and over that bony landmark, the lateral border, and then sink into the soft belly of the muscle on the other side of that border. This is the belly of the subscapularis. Once you've found it, like I have here, once again, we're still just doing a little warming up, and right there, as I kind of came up and then pressed back down, that's angling my fingers into that belly of the muscle. This area is going to be very tender on most people. The subscap's action is to do internal rotation and allow our shoulders to come inward, and because we live in such a flexed dominant society, our shoulders are almost always curved inward and rounded forward. For this reason, the subscap is going to be very tight and very tender on most people. And something important to note is I'm going very slow and doing a lot more static compression. Generally rubbing up and down the subscap really fast or doing a lot of flowing movements or circular movements does not feel good. You also have to be very calculated where you press at, because you don't want to hit any lymph nodes or arteries. And so going slow and treating it as much more of a compression-based massage feels a lot better and is a lot more comfortable for the client, which in turn makes the massage a lot more effective. I wanted to get deeper on his subscap, so in order to do that, I noticed his pec minor was tight, and so that's what you're seeing here with my thumbs, is I'm running up the ribs underneath pec major. You see me holding pec major, And with my thumbs, I'm targeting pec minor. Pec minor pulls your shoulder forward, and so releasing this allows the shoulder to drop back and is going to create more space in between his subscap and his ribs. And so doing that pec work will allow me to get deeper work on the subscap. That's a good example of how the whole body's connected, and sometimes targeting your main area requires you to loosen up the surrounding muscles. And so after about 5 or so minutes of purely warming up, we're gonna start getting into the very deep tissue subscap work. So I'm supporting his arm at his wrist and forearm, going really deep in there with my fingertips. And then what I'm gonna do is bring his arm across his body. This is gonna shorten the subscap the most, which allows me to get in there better. And you can see my whole hand is wrapped around that lateral border of his shoulder blade. My thumb is pressing on the back, and although you can't see it, all 4 of my fingers are pressing back towards me into the belly of his muscle. In here is where it's gonna get pretty tender, and so I'm simply walking around with my fingers to any area that I feel very tight and very ropey. When you find a spot like this, sit on it. Don't do rapid vibrations, don't do cross fiber, simply sit, compress, and hold. And this is what's gonna release it the best. The client may feel burning pain or pain that encompasses the entire shoulder. It's a very unique feeling, but it's also very common for this muscle. Also be aware that whenever I'm doing this type of work, my left hand is supporting his entire shoulder, and so you want to make them feel comfortable and supported when working and when doing stretches on them. And another fabulous move is once I've found a tight spot and pinned it, I am going to have him, the client, actively abduct their arm. They're taking their arm away from their central line. And then I'm going to have them bring their arm upward above their head. Both of these moves are opening up and extending the subscapularis. And that works because when I've pinned it down and they extend it outward, it creates a very deep pin and stretch move, which is very effective at releasing the muscle. And of course, once we've done the work there, I give his whole shoulder a nice long pull, creating some good traction to really stretch it out and make nice. And as we come to a close, I wanted to thank you for watching the video. I do hope you learned something or just enjoyed the content. Give it a thumbs up if you did, and I will see you guys on the next video. Otherwise, I hope you have a great rest of your day.